I am the Black Knight.
I am Francois Dugrim, and I will get medieval on your derriere.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back, and thank you for tuning in with us for another episode of the Retroachievements podcast, where we cover a variety of genres, topics, and discuss the bits and bytes of yesteryear. For many users here, the promise of a good time and an enjoyable revisit down memory lane is enough to keep them going. For others, perhaps they'll lean into creation that can take several forms, from development to web coding, community organization, and many more. For a select few, though, they see opportunity, a stage, and a springboard from which to catapult themselves into new heights. With so many varied approaches, tactics, and opinions factoring into what it means to be an RA community member, I wanted to seek out somebody who recently took home the prize of Twitch Partner, a huge accomplishment of merit and dedication, combined with having years of longevity within the community, allowing them to show us how things used to be and where they could possibly go. For exactly that reason, I have my guest here today, Sarkonius, to dig in a little bit on themselves, their journey, just to have a great conversation. Sark, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How about yourself?
Hey, I'm hanging in there. Glad to have you on. Honestly, I'm a bit excited. I know I have no stake in the game of you getting Twitch Partner, but just the fact that you recently nabbed that, I kind of wanted to start broad before we get there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Without giving too much away, just on a broad picture here, some of our listeners might not be fully aware. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm Sarkonius, as you guys know. I've been streaming on Twitch for about 8 years now. I've been doing RA since, I think, 2018.
All right.
So, been around for a while, put a lot of work in on both fronts, really.
Yeah, definitely a good amount of years under your belt at this point. Twitch a little bit longer, it sounds like. One of those things, did you find RA just looking for new content on Twitch, or?
Honestly, I wasn't really looking to do RA on Twitch. It just kind of happened, gradually. And then, as I started growing, a larger community, there was, more and more people from RA that, wanted to see achievements. So
Sure.
Eventually I added in a method of them requesting that through, the whole Twitch channel point system. And yeah, it kind of took off from there.
That was something I was taking a look at, doing a little bit of research there. A lot of your games that get chosen and what you stream is community factored. Is that just kind of giving the viewers what they want, or are there things that you do want to play that, they might not be too entertained by, but you got to go with what they want? How did that kind of factor into your, I don't know if I want to call it theme, but, it's something you've done quite a bit of.
At this point, almost the entirety of my stream is based on viewer requests. Every once in a while, I'll take some time off to kind of do what I want, and I did Elden Ring at the beginning of the year.
Right on, right on. All right, so if it's a big enough game or something that interests you heavily enough, tough stuff viewers, you're coming along with me, we're going to play this.
Yeah, exactly. When GameCube drops, I'm considering just kind of playing that for a while.
Right.
So we'll see what happens.
And I mean, hell, there's going to be plenty of stuff on there that they will be happy to see. It's classic console.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
Kind of wanted to lead into that too. If you had to pick a favorite classic console or something that you really dig in on, what would it be?
Honestly, it's probably Super Nintendo for me. It's pretty close between Super Nintendo and N64, but yeah, that was basically my childhood.
I was going to say, it sounds like you're pretty close to my age. I'm about to be 32 here, and the SNES is one of those things that it's a staple of your childhood. Just as you said it, I could look at that thing and slap a terrible game in it, and as a kid, I was having a grand old time. I didn't know the game was dog shit. But so coming into RA, you got number 3 spot here. You're always kind of fighting. It looks like Hippo and Max are going to be your competition. Does climbing the leaderboards take up a lot of your play priority, also trying to juggle Twitch streams, or does that just come along with the territory and it's a nice bonus?
It just comes with the territory. Honestly, I wasn't really too concerned with rank that much. It just kind of happened over time, just kept putting the time on, and, next thing I know, it's like, oh, I guess I'm in top 10 now.
Right.
It was, not to mention, it was a lot easier back in the day.
Sure.
There was not nearly as many people as there are now.
Tell me about those early days, though, that when you came out in 2018, it wasn't site's inception. It's probably changed a little bit at the time you joined, but what did it look like compared to nowadays? How was the landscape? How was game development done? How were sets received? It seems to be a lot more of a well-oiled machine these days, but things were getting done back then, too. What was it like?
I'd say it was a lot simpler back then. Now, by that, I would say a lot of sets were basically just progression.
Gotcha. So pretty bare bones things, but just if you can beat the game, you're gonna get some solid points.
Yeah, and I mean, so there's also like a lot of crazy stuff too. It was just kind of like all over the place, which I mean, I guess is kind of more now, but I feel like sets are way more in depth.
Oh, hold on. You can't just throw out there was lots of crazy stuff. What?
Dynamite Heady.
What is that?
That is a Genesis platformer. Then that set is still pretty notorious today. I have not gone back to finish that out.
Oh God! All right. So if you're tapping out on that one, Jesus, something that I see and I absolutely love is I call you the resident pinball wizard. Obviously, something that you don't seem to have a lot of trouble with. Again, doing a little you might have trouble, but you handle it. Come on.
You'd be surprised. I mean, I do, stream pinball occasionally, but people do not see the amount of hours that I put into some of these to badge them.
That's actually what I was going to lead into. I saw that, again, doing a little research, 14 hours for the 400 mil achievement in a Devil's Crush.
Oh yeah, that's just one attempt at it.
Good
So, figure the amount.
Yeah, the investment too.
I mean, I could admit there's 2 pinball sets I spent over 100 hours each to master.
Which would be?
Metroid Prime Pinball and Devil Crash.
All right.
On Genesis.
I really wanted to like Metroid Prime Pinball, but with the tilt mechanic being on the touch screen, I just never could be reliably responsive enough to use it in time.
Oh yeah, no, that is a terrible mechanic. I hated it. That's probably why it took me so long to finally badge it.
Damn, I was hoping you had some kind of trick or workaround for that, because fuck. But nope, sounds like just get good.
Yeah, I wish. I wish there was a better way to map it. Like they could have easily just mapped like tilt left and right to like LR.
Right, it would have taken nothing. But yeah, neither here nor there. It's one of those things though that I absolutely love pinball and did growing up. If you don't mind, how old are you, Sark?
I'm 37.
Okay, so you got a couple on me. You definitely grew up then though when arcades were still around. If they were around for me, they were definitely around for you.
Oh, absolutely.
Spent a lot of time in there, I'm assuming.
Oh, of course.
Of course.
I wasn't huge on arcades until I got into DDR.
Really? All right, a little late in the arcade game.
Yep.
All right, so I kind of wanted to ask, did pinball strike your fancy on an actual table, or is this more of a virtual thing?
I honestly didn't get that much into pinball until I got into RA.
Oh, wow.
Funny enough, yeah.
Okay, so you built your skills up just kind of on the virtual table, and now you have, well, not no problem with it, but definitely very skilled at.
Yeah, none of the arcades around me growing up had, like, many pinball tables.
Oh, no, that was definitely where a good portion of my arcade quarters went.
Yeah.
Beyond DDR, what were some of those genres that you sought out, or what were the flashy games? You know, were you any into the light gun shooters? Did you like the racers? You know, what was Little Sark playing?
I mean, I did do the light gun shooters every once in a while, like House of the Dead.
Yep.
But I would say Marvel vs. Capcom was probably one of my big games.
Hell yes. Little did I know, being one of my favorite arcade games growing up as well, I chose low-tier characters practically every time just because I liked them, and then wondered why I got my ass whooped. But please, go on.
Yeah, but I also was really big into Galaga, for going old school.
All right.
Galaga, Donkey Kong.
Right on. I mean, who can't plunk a few quarters in there? It's always a good time.
Yeah, actually, when I was at college, they had a Galaga machine, and I'd play it once every night until I finally, like, just maxed out the high score on it.
Holy shit. All right, so a slow burn, but you got there.
Yeah.
I don't know, sometimes those little ritualistic gameplay behaviors where it reminds me of, there was this place in a town I grew up in, it was just called House of Taco, and they had a Rampage cabinet in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and anytime I stopped in there, of course, I would have to place the order, wait for it to be made, and, well, might as well play a round of Rampage. And same kind of thing. What started as just you're messing around on it, suddenly you're placing high scores on this thing in a local taco joint, and it's like, all right, I gotta stop. I gotta go.
Yeah, now you got me thinking of, I used to go to Pizza Hut with my family, and they had a big buck hunter.
Nice.
You know, with the big shotguns and everything. Yeah, I'd play that every time we went.
Oh, yeah. Those were a blast too, though. Oh, man. So I kind of wanted to address your Twitch partnership, though. I'm not super familiar with it. I attempted streaming back in the day. Who the hell didn't?
Yeah.
You're actually getting somewhere with it, and more than somewhere. You've progressed beyond affiliate. I know there's something called Partner Plus if you apparently get to like corporate mega wumbo size, which, I wish you the best, but I don't see it happening next week. How did that come to strike you, getting this partnership? Was it something that you saw on the horizon? Was it something you wanted to push for this whole time? Or was it like the ranking on your site, just a happy surprise?
I mean, it's something I've really never really pushed for. It was just kind of a slow burn. Like I originally, I was like, yeah, I'll go for partner, and then kind of years went by, and it's just like the drive wasn't quite there, but I just kind of kept doing it. So the mindset just became, it'll happen if it happens.
Sure.
And then people were saying, it's like, dude, you're getting close. I'm like, I'm looking at the numbers. I'm like, I'm not really that close. And then December rolls around, and I don't know, something happened. Like numbers kind of went up, and next thing I know, like right around Christmas, it's like, yeah, you can apply for partner now. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so
let's do that, I guess.
Yeah, it was
That's
just
awesome.
like a huge jump. I don't know.
I mean, I hope I'm not speaking out of line here, but I do believe you're the first one on RA to do so, correct? Or at least who's publicly announced it.
For someone that does RA regularly,
Right.
You have people like Andy Social Network, like he got into RA for a bit, but he's like already been partner and established and everything.
Gotcha. So he didn't get it using RA. He just kind of came in and was.
Yeah.
Still, it's nice to see somebody from internally in the community obtain this thing semi-using the community. I know not everything you play and stream is retro, but a decent amount. Kind of wanted to ask though, there's a lot of other people, like I said, a lot of streamers have come before, tried and failed, but I feel like this is going to put a little fire under some people or in the belly of those who would like to, try to do their own. What would be some advice for those folks who are just trying to get started into it? It sounds like you sought out without really much of a road plan and just kind of found your own path, but it worked.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, this has been like I've been streaming consistently for 8 years now. It's just like, so I mean, my biggest advice is consistency. That's one of the main things that's going to help you grow.
So just a regular scheduling block, being reliable, show up when you say you're going to show up.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people just kind of try out the streaming thing, and they did it, quote, when I have free time. And then that could be, hey, I've got a lot of free time this week and like none next week. I've always been of the mind that's going to kind of dissuade your viewers because they're never going to be available when you are, and they're not going to know when you're available.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, the other thing is kind of find your niche. Like I'm very grateful that I pretty much established myself on variety because it gives me a lot more freedom. So I don't feel like I'm ever gonna like burn out. It's just like, yeah, I do need the occasional break from retro.
Right.
And obviously, viewership does drop when that happens, but as long as I still do have a pretty sizable core audience at this point that'll watch me when I do whatever.
I mean, so I kind of lean into that as well. How do you get that core audience? Do you do a lot of engagement on your streams? I checked in for 15 minutes here and there over a course of a couple days, watched the year, watched then. Didn't want to say anything in chat or just ghosting you, really. But so there's some days where you have a lot of engagement. There's some days where you're, really talking to people, really leaning into the characters, really leaning into just having a good time. And there's some days where you're kind of more reserved and just, I don't want to say not engaged because you're definitely look to be either very concentrated or otherwise still having a good time. But how do you get that concentrated viewer partnership with those people, that core audience, with that varied personality type? Is it just something they have to like it or leave it, or?
Yeah, it's I know I can have a very, I don't know if I'd call it a volatile personality at times, but doing RA, you will definitely get angry, to say the least. So I mean, I feel like at this point, just people know how I get when I'm working on something particularly difficult, obnoxious, whatever. So it's kind of a
get a little slack there.
If you can't take me at my worst, you probably shouldn't be here.
I got some mid 40s wife vibes from that, but okay. You don't deserve me at my best, but absolutely get what you're saying there. It's a different thing entirely. When you are definitely the wrong phrasing. It's not the product you're selling but what you're doing is presenting yourself. That's your personality. That's why you're not, anybody can watch a playthrough of a game. If you want to go see that, put on a long play and enjoy it. But, half the reason people are on Twitch is because of the host,
Yeah.
I suppose naturally that audience will filter out and you will get the people who enjoy you for you.
Yeah. And I mean, I do my best to be entertaining when I'm streaming, but like I said, you get into those moments, you either gotta really focus, you're gonna be pissed off.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm glad that I streamed on Twitch just being myself. What you see is pretty much how I am. Like, I'm not gonna put on a mask or anything.
Yeah. No, it would be far too tiring, especially with a consistent stream schedule. I kind of wanted to ask, though, off Twitch, what's a day for Sark look like when he isn't streaming?
I mean, honestly, I still like gaming even when I'm not streaming.
Sure, nothing wrong with that.
It's actually a different feeling, honestly. It's like there's gaming while you're streaming and then gaming when you're not streaming, and it's just kind of a relaxing thing for me when I'm not streaming. That's not to say, it can't be relaxing on stream, but it's less to think about,
Right, no, and it's the difference between, being in your room alone and just kind of vibing and being in your room with a couple other people trying to vibe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's not that it's a bad thing, it's just like, not quite the same. Oh, okay, let's say we had to step away from all electronics. What are you doing for that day? Where are you going? What does Sark get up to? Where does he go eat? What's his foods, man? What's his interests and hobbies outside of games?
Well, anybody that's watched my stream for any amount of time usually knows that pizza's my big thing.
All right.
I grew up in Jersey, so
I hear it's a huge staple out there.
Even though I'm not in Jersey anymore, I still go out for pizza. I usually try and get it at least once a week. Maybe not so much as now, but
are you a simple toppings man, or do you like those specialty pies?
Pretty basic. I go for pepperoni pizza, make it well done, and I'm happy with that.
Right on. Yeah, no, none of that soggy bullshit here. I'm from Michigan. We have a pretty big pizza zeitgeist cultural thing around here, too. And I didn't realize it until I'd taken, my first family trip out of state when I was younger. And there's, pizza delivery can be done by, 5 restaurants in my area. And only 2 of them are, Domino's and Pizza. Other ones are mom and pop chains with good shit. And it blew my mind. That's it's just not like this everywhere. People don't obsess over pizza.
Yeah, all right.
They don't even put ranch on it? No. All right, so a good pie will set you right. Kind of wanted to lean into some more questions here I got lined up for you, but we are going to take a quick break. Guys, we will be back. Retroachievementspodcast@gmail.com if you want to write in. We'll see you soon.
I will show you why I am the king of pain.
This is like totally medieval.
All right, everybody, welcome back. We got a little bit of detail on how Sark got started on Twitch, how we got started in the RA community, how we just kind of slowly grinded up the chain without really intending to, but hell, we'll take the bonus where it comes. Getting Twitch partnerships, sort of the same. His viewers were the ones that told him he was getting close, and he kind of doubted it, but hell, we will take the win all the same. Wanted to step back a little bit, though. Wanted to touch on how Sark became Sark. A lot of these times, frequently with the guests I've had on, they have family members who, if they didn't at least play games, they were otherwise heavily involved in electronics, either with tinkering or ham radio was a big thing, all that sort of stuff. Were you the black sheep in the family gravitating towards games, or are you similar? Did you have a lot of people that were interested themselves?
100% the black sheep.
Oh, no!
There is none of my close family does video games at all.
Oh, no. All right. So you were gaming alone.
Yep.
That's disappointing, man. A lot of the times, those memories I have are my dad, playing Wolfenstein with me or something like that. That isn't to say it's a negative, though. I mean, shit. Finding your own interest, finding your own passion. It at least sounds like your family didn't prevent you from playing them.
Not so much. I mean, so pretty much when I was 6 years old, my grandmother got me an NES for my birthday, and
right on, Grandma.
My parents were not happy. I mean, they essentially tied the amount of time I could playing video games based on my grades.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So what would be a max, Sark's rocking it out at school? How much are you gaming?
I think as long as I was getting A's, it was probably like 4 hours a day, maybe.
Oh, that ain't bad. All
Oh
right.
yeah, no, it wasn't super limiting or anything, but it was good motivation for me to actually do good in school for a while.
Definitely. No, I feel like if I had that kind of stipulation, positive reward like that, I might have did a little better in high school myself.
Yeah.
Anyway. So one of the things that I frequently find when people do play video games their whole life, they inevitably stumble into tinker territory. They either have some kind of thing they like to repair, maybe their job revolves around some kind of maintenance or, coding, that sort of thing. What does your day job actually involve?
Well, I mean, I pretty much jumped around jobs a lot. I've done tech support in the past. As far as tinkering is concerned, I mean, I take apart my controllers and repair them all the time, so...
Right on. All right, so not completely ignorant of technical repair and getting a hand on a soldering gun, that kind of thing.
Haven't gotten into soldering. That's one thing I'd kind of like to learn, but I mean, it's mostly just like opening them up, cleaning them out, replacing parts, that kind of thing.
Got you, those little rubber pads, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can get a lot of more life out of it. That's what fails on them.
Yeah. I mean, it's as far as like technical is concerned, probably like the most technical thing I've done is like built a computer. It's really about it.
All right. I mean, back in the day, if you were building them back in the day, high merit. If you're building them now, people get intimidated by it all the time if it's their first build, and I just try to describe it as adult Legos. Put the thing that's shaped where it can go in the only place it can go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a lot simpler.
So your early computer days, did you have a computer in the household growing up back on, I don't know, Windows 95, something of that era?
Yeah, we did actually. Yeah, we had a family computer.
Play a lot on that, or?
We had dial-up, so I never got into like WoW or anything, but RuneScape was my big thing back in the day.
Oh, whose wasn't it, man? Come on. I still will every now and then mess around with RuneScape. Actually, one of the games I just have on another screen pretty much all the time is Melvor Idol, made by Jagex, same game. It's just a RuneScape idle game.
Oh, nice.
How did you get started in RuneScape, man? Tell me. I want to know your first experience. Probably one of your first quote-unquote MMOs. I know it was for me. Tell me about that childhood wonder logging in first time.
Oh, man, it was like a whole new experience for me. Like, I actually got into it with... Like, we had some family friends that they had kids around my age too, so it was me and them playing together. It was a blast.
Hell yeah! My first experience, I was in 5th grade, and I didn't actually have internet at home yet, but the library did. So I wasn't more than 2 blocks from the middle school. Back in the day, I was a chunky little boy. So my friend tells me, Logan, there's this new game, RuneScape. You got to play it. It's cool. We got to get to the library though after class because there's only 6 computers, and everybody wants to play this damn game. Cut to the end of the day, our 2 chunky asses running down the street in hot August weather, just sweating, showing up to the library like a swamp monster, not able to catch our breath. Computer, hour, sign up. Sit down. Since you only have an hour, the name I used previously was just a nickname my dad gave me, and the nickname was taken. So, shit, okay. I try to think of a couple others. Taken. And now little me is starting to stress out because I've wasted 10 minutes of this hour just trying to make a name. And I'm like, fuck it. Oh, fuck. What are 2 cool words you like because you're in 5th grade and a kid? I don't know. Time, crush, bang. And that is, we used it for 30 years.
Nice. Yeah, I can't say I reused my name on there. It's very 90s.
Edgy. Yeah,
90s,
have the XX.
Yeah. Oh no, it wasn't. It was just Killa Steve.
Oh, right on. Yes. Yeah, I'm 13 and this is rad. Yeah. Definitely one of those things. You mentioned you weren't able to play WoW because you had dial-up. And I'm not trying to monopolize this episode. You are the guest. But in one of the guilds I was in on my dial-up connection when we eventually got it, and I definitely installed WoW, they called me the Dial-Up Crusader. All I could do was play a dwarf priest, put my settings on absolute minimum because my computer was also dog shit. I believe I was playing this on about 256 megabytes of RAM.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, buddy. And an integrated graphics chip. I don't even have a card. So, all settings on minimum. Resolution as small as it will go. Window as small as it will go. Zoomed all the way in and looking at the floor. And that was the only way I could do Molten Core. Yeah, buddy. If I looked up and saw any particle effects or that many people, crash. I would have to contact my cousin if I accidentally hearthed to Orgrimmar when it was too busy in the day and have him walk me out of the city so I could log back in.
Jeez.
Yeah, good time. But neither here nor there. Those early days of technology, man. Did you have any of those old struggles growing up with technology like that? I feel like it kind of prepares you for just troubleshooting in general and handling those issues you'll encounter in older when systems are a lot more quote unquote user friendly.
I mean, most of the time it was pretty much just like a Google search away as far
Right.
as, figuring out stuff for myself. So most of my computer knowledge is kind of self-taught.
Right on. I'm in the exact same boat. I do it professionally now, and it's one of those things where it was a big moment of pride for me when I was sitting in this interview, and I was nervous, shitting my pants for it for state government, and I'm thinking I'm not qualified enough for this because all the postings are like, you need a degree in this or you need a degree in that and all this kind of other thing. But
Oh yeah, dude, it's so off-putting. It's just like,
oh my god, I know.
it's like, do I really need all this?
I know. I felt very rewarded when the guy interviewing me just kind of glanced at my resume and he's like, well, yeah, you easily have the equivalent of a 4-year degree with work experience. And I was like, oh, don't cry in the interview. Thank you. Yeah, I feel like a lot of that self-taught computer knowledge, which got me my life that I have now, was seriously just, holy shit, how am I going to fix this old broken computer? Because we are not going to be able to buy a new one.
Yeah, exactly.
What is it? Necessity breeds innovation or something like that is the mother of invention. Some kind of phrase that I'm trying to sound way too smart using.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah, we're close enough. But kind of wanted to bring it back to RA. What have you been playing lately? I know things are set requested, but what have been some of your bigger troubles, your biggest, oh shit, I really wish they didn't request that, or like biggest surprises, happiest things where you're like, all right, this turned out awesome. Tell me those notable moments, man.
I mean, if we're going recently, here, you know what? I actually have a page I can bring up. It's just got all my requests right here.
Right on.
I would say the most recent one that took me some time was God Hand.
Oh, of course it did. That game is notorious on its own without a set.
I mean, the set is honestly pretty basic because the game is so hard to get through.
Right. No, it kicks your ass enough.
Yeah, just beating that game on hard mode is something like I wasn't sure I'd ever come back to do, but when the game got a set, I'm like, someone's going to request this eventually. Because I'd already streamed it twice before, so that was before it had a set.
Oh, man. So you knew what you were going to be getting into. Did you see, I believe it has, I think it's God Hand, has a bonus subset where you keep that paper on your back the entire time, the kick me sign?
That's not one I'm sure I'll ever go for. It is that disgusting.
That's not one anybody sane should ever go for.
Yeah.
No, but all right, well, let's take it away from recently. What are those big surprises or big oh shit moments or, fun interactions with the community? You've got a ton of years on this Twitch streaming platform. I'm sure there's got to be some things that stick out to you, make you smile or make you kind of sweat.
Well, I mean, funny enough, one of the big games I played back in my first year of streaming, this was long before I was even getting into RA or anything, was Mario 64 Chaos Edition.
Now, what does that entail?
That is a ROM hack of Mario 64 where essentially preset random code is injected into the game at set intervals.
Oh, Jesus.
So it screws with the game. Like,
it is intentionally glitching this shit out in random ways.
Oh yeah, and back in the day, it was the original versions of that was very unstable. Like the game would crash fairly frequently in certain areas. So I started doing that on stream, and this was like the handful of people that I had back in the day, but they were enjoying it. So I just pushed myself to try and get all 120 stars, and it took like months.
Oh god.
Now, granted, I wasn't streaming like nearly as much as I do now, but.
Now, kind of talking about how much you're streaming, when you set this schedule, do you find that you're able to change it often, or once you kind of get it going, do you have to hold it in the lines?
I mean, thankfully, I'm fortunate enough that I can kind of keep the same schedule.
Gotcha. All right, so
I mean, the amount of time I stream it can fluctuate. I mean, the Friday stream is generally always like, I'm usually going at least 8-10 hours, sometimes more.
Damn. Okay, so you're doing big chunks.
Yeah.
At a time.
But I mean, back when I started, I would say I was going like no more than like 3 hours per stream.
All right. So little investments slowly grew into bigger investments. Found the bigger investments are obviously working as a partner now.
Yeah.
You think you're going to just keep doing what you've been doing? Are you going to try and adjust things, try and lean into more? Are you thinking about ways to, improve the channel? Or are you going to just keep doing what worked, which is you?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'd kind of like to keep doing what I'm doing. I mean, I really don't see much of an urge to change if it's working.
Yeah, don't fix what's not broken, right?
Exactly. And I mean, like I said, I do want to incorporate a little more modern here and there, just so I get something different. I do like some modern games. It's like I know it's not going to be popular with everybody, especially with the community I've established. But again, you have the core audience that you know is always going to be there, so it's nice.
Right, as long as you don't get too off the deep end and do them all the time, it should be okay to bounce back.
Yeah, exactly.
It's one of those things I know a lot of streamers have sort of like a pregame ritual. It helps them either get into the zone or just otherwise something they do out of a habit. You know, I've heard it'll be something as simple as make a cup of coffee, go out on the back porch completely, no phone, no anything, and just try to be present for 10 minutes before I get on camera. Do you have any kind of rituals?
Not so much before stream. You know how I said my Friday streams are usually super late?
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason for that. It's kind of become tradition. I crack open a NOS energy drink at the start of every Friday stream.
Right on. All right. So there is a little ritual tendency, a little bit of a hook, and a reason that we're going to push it late. But yeah, all right. I mean, it's still a fun thing to hear about. I've talked to several people at this point who are not partner, but they are definitely have a core viewership, and it's interesting to see different perspectives, all kind of leading. All roads are leading to Rome here. Everyone's slowly garnering that core viewership. Everyone's slowly cycling out games that they don't typically play to keep themselves sane.
Yeah.
And they all have wildly different personalities, but you guys, like I said, are all going to Rome. And it's good to see. It lets me know that there's pretty much an avenue for any kind of person who wants to just dedicate the time. Sounds like that's the key factor here. If you put in the time, put in the consistency, you should be doing at least okay with a handful of viewers steadily growing.
Oh yeah, no, exactly. I mean, that's the thing is, unless you're really lucky or you just have like the most like godly good personality, like you got to expect it's going to take time.
I mean, if it came easy, everybody would have it, and nothing good comes easy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Twitch is already like a very oversaturated market at this point. So
Right.
you got to understand, it's like if you're not putting the time in, it's most likely not going to happen. You have to be patient.
And from what I understand, the algorithm favors consistency too. They're more likely to throw you up on like that splash page or something, or have you featured closer to the top if you're regularly participating rather than erratically.
That I'm actually not too sure about. I've never looked into, how that works. Like I know that's the case for like stuff like YouTube, but I don't know about Twitch.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm just taking shots in the dark here. It's something like you said I learned from YouTube, and I figured it might operate similarly. Figured you might have some more introspection on it, but like you said, you're just doing the slow burn and doing what works. So hey, screw it. But one of the games I did get a listener that wanted to ask me specifically about towards you. You recently played Blasto. Yeah. Thoughts, opinions, good lord, that chuckle tells me a little bit.
Okay, so the game is Tank Control's 3D platformer, which already, not exactly my thing.
Sure.
I didn't grow up with tank control games. It's kind of rough for me to play. I get used to them, but
Let alone as a platformer, though.
yeah. I mean, as far as the set itself, you're more or less just kind of like 100%ing the game. Now, the problem with that is the way enemy spawns in those games. So when you go through an area, you'll have a certain amount of enemies like come at you. Except that then you progress, grab some items, and then when you go back, there'll be more in the same area you just explored.
So
Now, in the earlier levels, that's not so bad because it's more of kind of a straightforward path. But as you get to the larger areas, I ended up being completely miserable. Half of my stream was wandering around empty levels trying to figure out why these enemies would not spawn.
oh god. All right, so it's not so much a fault of it's the game's design.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I mean, honestly, having the achievements for killing all the enemies, like all you get is an extra continue for killing all the enemies in a level,
Yes.
which earlier on, not too bad. It's nice to have. It's an extra 5 lives basically.
Okay.
And later on, you are going to be burning a lot of lives.
So trying to kill all those enemies, you're going to be investing practically more than that continue is going to be worth.
Yes and no. If you're killing enemies, you're also going to be spawning more items, generally extra lives and stuff. So
Okay.
it can make up for it.
It helps you out a little bit.
I mean, I will say I did reload a lot if I lost too many lives because I'm like, I feel like this is going to get worse. And it did.
Right, you already just burnt too much up front. No more resources to give.
Yeah.
Now, something I wanted to ask, Already established, I love pinball. I see you are digging in on digital pinball Last Gladiators. You're only a few achievements away from taking this thing home. How's it play? How fun is it? Is it a good time, or should I get ready for frustration?
It depends on the table, but I'm going to say get ready for frustration.
Ah, shit.
So there are some video game pinball has, you know how you can tell when you make a certain shot on video game pinball, you're going to know exactly where it's going to go.
Oh, yeah?
A Last Gladiator pinball is like that almost to a fault. Now, let me explain. If you do not use the table shaking, like the nudging, on one table, every time the ball launches for the first time, not like if the ball gets saved or whatever and launches again, it will go straight down the middle.
It's Drano automatically.
Yes.
Jesus.
And then there is another table, which, not on the first launch, but any subsequent launches, it will drain down the side, on the left side. Guaranteed.
Okay, so you got a Drano, you got a gutter. If you're not tilting, you're not playing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the tilt it's pretty light. You really have to go hard on the tilt for it to go anywhere.
Is it forgiving at least on a tilting out?
Yes. It will give you danger, like a little danger note message way ahead of time. So
Cool.
You're not going to tilt out unless you do it on purpose.
Almost intentionally, yeah. All right. Cool. All right, so that's something I'm going to be getting pissed off at later. Good to know.
Yeah. So I had to work with the dev on some of those achievements because they were just asking for way too much for how rough the game was to play.
That's what I've actually been seeing in the playtest team. I took over the lead of that a little bit ago now, and a lot of the things the testers are discovering is, hey, man, this is literally impossible. Not only is it difficult, you've put the time constraints way too tough, or the point limit isn't possible to obtain, or that kind of thing. Like, dude, are you checking this out? So, yeah, no, I find you working with the dev, especially on something like a pinball set that you have beyond experience with, you're going to get a lot of a better product in the end.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't even mind if, like, any devs that want to work on a pinball set, like, if they want to reach out to me and say, like, would you play test this for me? I'd be happy to.
Yeah, I mean, hell yeah, you would be a boon of knowledge on something like that. Kind of wanted to throw out things that, I've monopolized the floor for quite a bit now, jabbing questions at you for a minute. What are some of the things on RA that you just don't get asked about? Or what are some of these questions that itch at you and, no one's brought it up yet? Everybody has these topics that are very important to them, but they're not seeing it addressed. They're not seeing it talked about. Is there anything we're missing in RA? Is there anything that you are feeling like, what's going on here, man? I mean, there's a lot of moving pieces these days. Like you said before, it was a lot simpler. Horizon just dropped with the whole Final Fantasy XI integration. I have no idea if that interests you, but it says we're moving in potentially broader directions and it paves a path for the future. But what are those unasked questions?
I mean, there's a few. Like, I would say one of the biggest things I've seen is how you guys deal with cheaters.
Okay.
I mean, again, this isn't something that, like, it's not a huge deal. Like I said, I never really concerned myself too much with rank. It just kind of happened over time. But,
Sure.
Sometimes you'll see people badging stuff, like, entirely too fast. Like, it seems incredibly obvious that something's going on, and it just feels like nothing gets done about it sometimes.
I don't think you're the only one with that opinion, and I'm not even somebody who masters a lot of games. I'm here to have fun. I've said it many times.
Yeah.
And even I've taken a look at some people's pages, and I'm like, 4 achievements across 3 zones unlocked in 2 minutes. Okay. With the timestamps and all of that, it gets a little fishy here. And like I said, we're not the only ones who feel this. I know they just tried to roll out a cheat team a handful of months ago.
Yeah, I did hear about that.
Yeah, and, it could just still be getting the wheels going here, getting some grease on them until they're functional and up and running. But just the fact that it's around tells me that, hey, I think a lot of people are getting a little bit, not so much pissed off, but just like, hey, can we do something about this?
Yeah, and I mean, back when I started, Max wasn't even the number one guy. It was that, I don't know if you know Don Cosmo.
I only know him through people like Max, and it's like he who we do not speak of type thing. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
got our R.A. Voldemort.
Exactly. Tell me about him, though. I mean, I've never really gotten to go in on him. It's all right. And again, just as a disclaimer, we are 2 dudes shooting the shit. We are not representing RA. And we're not trying to call anybody out and attack them. Just learning the lore of the site.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I didn't know the guy too much. I just saw one day that, he got untracked, left some interesting messages. It's just like, the world will know about your lies, RA. I'm like, what the hell is going on with this guy? So,
Oh,
I used to watch Max all the time then, so, I always heard him talking about it.
sure. I mean, whenever somebody leaves a cryptic message like that, it's like, all right, you were a little too invested in this.
Yeah.
So, all right, yeah, I've heard that name mentioned quite a bit. I know we have a lot of folks in here that, are you in alt? Are you in alt? Yeah, it's a lot of people pointing fingers and that kind of thing. It's always kind of curious to see. But I'm sure, you said there was a few things. What's next unasked question?
I mean, I feel like you kind of answered me with one of them. Having more testing put onto sets before they're put out.
Right. And it's like I said, that's the reason I wanted to get it out there. I'm not trying to master games, but I did see a lot of things that just made me go like, hold up, this isn't, and we're not talking to the juniors. It's not a required thing to go through testing right now. It is just highly encouraged. We've seen a lot of positive results.
Yeah. I mean, that's something I'd definitely like to see more time put into. Yeah, I get it. It's like you want to get your set out as soon as you can, but at the same time, it's just like, if no one's even bothering to like play it enough to badge it because it's just that impossible. It's just like, it's just another dead set on the site.
I mean, equating it to something like the art world, right? You can take time and put time investment into something, be very careful and craft a beautiful piece. But if you're just rushing and slapjacking some stuff together on canvas to get it on a wall, well, one of those paintings is going to get more praise.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, it's something I'm happy that it seems like we're working towards, knock on wood. But things are in motion. I'm seeing a lot of positive movement. Having Wes on in that last episode gave me some good outlook for where the web dev side of it's going. It seems like we're getting a lot more updates and web integration, a lot more API enhancements. So the back end's starting to move and chug along. Are there any like site features, or if you had like a genie wish for RA, what would be something you would like to see?
I mean, honestly, all the stuff that I've wanted has pretty much been added.
Right on.
Like there was the big update to be able to move your badges around. So I like spent like,
hey man,
probably the better half of a day sorting all that.
Small quality of life features like that sometimes go a long way for people.
Yeah, I mean, you got the beaten for people who want to play that more casually. I did hear talks about kind of a tiered badge system, which I heard got scrapped. I don't know if anything's happening with that.
I do remember that being kicked around. I'm not sure if it's going to go through either. I'm not sure where it sits right now. It'd be interesting to see in concept. I know also I'm going to feel fine calling it a teaser, not in any official capacity, but the fact that we have that Final Fantasy XI working with pseudo core plus subset tells me that shouldn't be too far behind either. Is that something that interests you at all, or?
Being able to work on the core and the subset, I think, would definitely encourage a lot more people to try more subsets.
Yep.
I never really got into Final Fantasy XI, so I don't know if I'll ever do that unless I got like a group of people working with it.
I hear party is essential in it. I also never really played it. I got the launcher downloaded, made a dude. I'm ready to go. We got a couple of levels in, but man, I used to play a lot of those old MMOs. Shadowbane was one I really liked, obviously EverQuest, but I have just gotten soft, apparently, in my years with all these quality of life features that a modern game brings. So, like, even just moving around and navigating the menus in it is a step back in time. You gotta unlearn a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it can be hard to go back for sure.
We are going to take a quick break here, guys. One more shill for the email, retroachievementspodcast@gmail.com, for a chance to fan mail to be read out on the air. We will be right back with our final thoughts.
I am Sir Psycho!
Big dragon, but I bet you're bigger.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We've covered a wide variety of topics. Dug in on Little Sark, dug in on the arcade games, getting in on DDR, dug in how we found RA, how we just kind of is able to unwind off stream with games, and it takes that different vibe. Everybody's been there. Everybody knows that feeling of not having to be on so much. Even though it's not putting on a personality, you still got to be there and engaged, paying attention to more things than you're used to. A lot of that gets stressful, and we're all trying to deal with stress a little bit less these days, trying to find ways to get rid of it. I'm trying to lean towards the positive, and I'm seeing a lot of these unasked questions Sark had. Turns out we were hopefully putting some answers to them, and it wasn't even asked yet. So leaning into that same kind of topic, man. Thoughts on the episode today? Thoughts on how the RA community is going? Is there anybody that you want to shout out, a friend on here that has been somebody positive in the community? Or this is, like I said, I call it the touchy-feely segment, but seems to do pretty well, and I just like to get a good read on the community.
We talking shout-outs to anybody on RA, or?
Yeah, anybody you like, or just, want to give a hey.
I mean, I'll give it a shout out to my buddy Pulse XP.
All right, how long you been knowing Pulse, and what do they do?
He's actually another RA streamer, and I've probably known him for God, at least 5 or 6 years now.
Right on. You guys ever do like collab streams or any raids for one another or anything like that?
Oh yeah, no, we pretty much raid each other every chance we get, and
Right on.
I've been to his house. We've done,
Oh shit, he's close.
Oh yeah,
Like know the guy.
oh yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, I've been to his place twice now. He has like a big kind of Twitch party with kind of all the RA streamers that we know.
Very cool. Very cool. I mean, kind of digging in, less shout-outs, but just like the general vibe of the community. Do you see a positive trend in where we're going? Do you have hopes for the future? General vibe on how we've progressed from back when you joined in 2018 and moving to now.
Oh yeah, no, for the most part, I am very impressed with where the site's been going. Again, the site looks way more professional now than it used to. It's like we have support for, God, like so many more consoles, like ones I haven't even heard of before.
I know. It seems like every other month something gets added where I didn't even know that existed.
I'm just like, what the hell is an ooze box?
Exactly. Yeah, Wasm? It's one of those things, though. I'm always going to be happy to see, even if they aren't going to be consoles that get the most attention. Let's be honest. It's not going to be as hype as PS2 or as GameCube's going to be whenever that gets here, but it's still encouraging to see, hey, it's a niche console. That's what we do. We kind of lean into the niche already. Let's try to make sure it's at least available and incorporated.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I didn't even know about like Atari 2600 and stuff until, I started like that was one of the big launches for me on RA was Atari 2600. It's funny, I was like going back and trying them out and like, badged like probably like 40 or 50 of them.
I'm going to fuck with squares today.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like it's just kind of interesting seeing like, stuff that I never really got into.
Actually, growing up, for whatever reason, my dad broke out his old ColecoVision, and this was back when PS1 was, in its peak. And I found myself playing with that little dial paddle controller on some of the worst damn games out there, having a better time than the PS1 at days. And it's, just because it's old, just because it's quote unquote bad, doesn't mean there's still not some kind of enjoyment in there, or at least appreciation for the ancient technology,
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, sometimes you need a little simple in your life, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that speaks to the whole theme of like trying to just be yourself, that slow burn. If you find your niche, find your lane. A lot of people are doing what you're doing, and the ones who are successful at it, nobody on Twitch is the same person. Nobody streaming has the same personality. Nobody plays the exact same games. And they're all, trying to build themselves up. And over time, if you invest that time, if you invest that commitment, it seems like, hey, you can shoot for the moon. I think you still have more to climb, man. I think partnership might only be the beginning. I know you said you've been at it for a while, but this is where you could start picking some good momentum up. I don't want to fix what's not broken, like you said, but learn how that algorithm works. If you could unlock that trick, it would be an easy win, especially if it's just something simple like adding some party on the screen or other sound effects. It could be very easy. YouTube relies on thumbnails, for Christ's sake. I think you got a lot more room to grow, man. I'm glad you came on the episode today. Any kind of final thoughts, any things that you want to wrap up, send off, things you want to say, just get a message out there to folks?
Oh man, put me on the spot here. No, I mean, like I said, I'm happy with where RA is going. I'm happy to see it grow. I know with PS2, like it brought in a lot of new people, and I think that probably would help my channel as well. And I think with GameCube, RA is just going to continue to keep getting more people, and it's exciting. It's like I'm loving seeing the community grow.
I think it's going to be an exponential growth, especially if we keep doing these tie-ins with things like Horizon. They have a massive player base, and if they have any kind of interest in retro games, well, you now know we're here.
Yeah, exactly.
But gonna wrap this up, Sark. Like I said, fantastic conversation, man. Wanted to have this on for a while. Happy to see what's going on for you. Happy to see where you go. Likewise for Ari and the community. Guys, thanks for listening today. This has been the Retro Achievements Podcast, and we will see you all next time.
Have a good one, guys.